Let's get it popping tonight. We got Thursday night football, NFC South battle tonight. The Atlanta Falcons already eliminated from the playoffs, and a team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trying to hang on and make the playoffs by winning their division. Donnie Wrightside and Tom Vecchio as we get going. Tom, how we feeling tonight about this one?
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
I think everyone's on the same page that the Bucs should win. They're unsure if they're going to cover, how many points are going to be getting scored. Also, Mike Evans' return to Tampa should absolutely be a boost for their offense overall, but I'm sure you saw the report that he's going to be on some type of snap count today, which impacts things overall. But I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, looking good for tonight. Having some fun with it, Tom. FanDuel opened up that look-ahead line 6.5. It was down most 4.5 most of the week here, up to 5.5 today as we take a look at the ticket count, though, heavily in Tampa Bay's side. 64% of the tickets coming in, 69% of the money, but still sitting at 5.5. If we look at those weather conditions down there, not bad tonight, Tom. You know, for Florida, 55 degrees, no rain in the forecast, and very light winds. A great night for football. So let's start here with the side itself with Tampa Bay. For me, it is public to take Tampa Bay, but I'm also under the guy sometimes, Tom, where it's under a touchdown. I do think Tampa Bay wins this football game tonight, so I'm going to take them with the minus 5.5.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like it's definitely the public side to be on them. I will say I'm going to be actively looking for a 2.5 in game if the scoring starts off slow or the Falcons get out to an early lead. The kicking issues that Atlanta has had this season are terrible, and Chase McLaughlin, I think is his name, or whatever it is, the kicker of the Bucs, he's legit. So I will take them at 2.5 if I can get that in game. But if I had to, like, I have them in a pick'em pool, but that's it. I fully agree with the Bucs being the better team.
Yeah, and also it's because we're at that point of the year because we are looking at the haves and the have-nots. And yes, Raheem Morris wants to save his job, but you're also at this point making business decisions. You can't win anymore. You already lost your quarterback for the season. I'm interested to see how they play. And also sometimes, Tom, when you're out of the playoff picture, 4th and 3s at midfield, you might punt them. You ain't punting them now. Like, you're going for it at this point. There's no reason not to do that. But Kirk Cousins, not my favorite quarterback. Without Drake London, I don't know where the passing game comes from. I love Bijan Robinson. When I was talking with Kevin a little bit earlier, Tom, 43.5, 5.5 is the number tonight. I wouldn't take anything on Atlanta to cover the spread at 5.5. I would just take Bijan. Bijan doesn't perform, they get blown out tonight. Bijan performs, they can still lose by a touchdown or more. I would just be looking at Bijan props, which rushing and receiving combined. Touchdown prop for Bijan. If you are playing Atlanta, that's the way I would go. But the 43.5 tonight, Tom, I don't have a play on the side or the total itself. I lean towards the over, but I just look at Atlanta's team and say, this stink on offense, Tom. They stink.
I think that's a great way to go about it. If you are looking to back the Falcons, again, if Bijan doesn't do anything, there's no Drake London tonight. Yep. Kyle Pitts was questionable coming into the game. He is going to play. What are we going to be getting from Darnell Mooney? Like, at a certain point, there's just not enough talent, to your point, on the Atlanta side of things, that Bijan is their path forward to staying close in this game. So if you don't want to take the points, I understand that, but backing Bijan is absolutely a route to go about things, whether it's his carries, whether it's his rushing plus receiving combined. Like you said, I think that's totally reasonable.
Let's get to some of the props here tonight on this game, Tom. We'll take a look at FanDuel here. Sitting Baker Mayfield has been rising all week. He was in that low teens, like 213, 214, 215. They're up to 221.5, and I do agree with that. Kirk Cousins, 206.5. When you look at Tampa Bay tonight, Tom, first time all season, right? You got Ibuka on one side. You're going to have, obviously, Mike Evans on one side. Godwin working his way back into the fold. Even McMillan is coming back. So you got 4 wide receivers out and down. You should have the best skill position slate that you've had. And also, Bucky Irving out of the backfield. I think they move the football. I think Baker Mayfield does enough to get over that prop there at the 221.5.
I would really like to believe that is true as well. Like, this is, I'm not going to say the healthiest they've been. It's obviously on par with the beginning of the season. Obviously, McMillan wasn't there, but this is a team that's getting healthier as the season goes on. So with Mike Evans back in a limited capacity, limited snap count, whatever it's going to be, and McMillan, I haven't seen anything on McMillan. I'm not sure if you have in terms of his snap.
He's active. Yeah,
he's active, but just in terms of his snap count, he's going to be on side of it.
Yeah, he's probably going to. He's probably the fourth, because if you're looking at the 3 wide receiver sets, he's probably the fourth. Whole time in his package is in. He is active tonight, but again, he hasn't played all season. It's a neck injury. We don't know.
Right. So again, like, this should be the spot that Baker, they finally get the offense humming. Like, they finally start moving things forward, because they have been kind of sluggish over the past few weeks. But now that everyone's back, this should be the time to be like, we want to run up the score, because I always say this for teams, like, they need that internal self-confidence that they can go out there and sling it and put up points when they need to.
And I look at these numbers here, right? Kirk Cousins over 1.5 is a plus 200. Just doesn't have the frame unless he's throwing at least one touchdown to Bijan. I don't think he gets there. I know Kyle Pitts, we'll talk about touchdown props. He's going to be a popular player in the marketplace because you really don't have any options. What are you going, David Stills at this point? But Baker Mayfield over 1.5 touchdown passes minus 132. I didn't take that prop tonight. But I do like that prop, but I do get a little bit nervous because there are 3 capable running backs, Tom, once you get inside the 5-yard line that can score touchdowns here. I think it's a fair price at minus 132. I think Mayfield has success, but I didn't take that touchdown prop. Any looks there on the passing touchdown market here for either one of these two guys?
I would go with Baker if I had to choose. And again, it is a very fair price. I will say I have 2 thoughts about this. They're the healthiest they've ever been in the passing offense.
Yeah.
But Tampa just needs a win. They just need to win a game in a short week against a divisional opponent and try to lock up their spot in the NFC South. So I think it's the right side to be on. And if you lose, so be it. Yeah. But the team perspective is they just need to win a game. So if he ended with 1 and they had 2 on the ground, I'm not going to be shocked, but I do think the over is the right side.
Let's go to receiving props tonight, Tom. Again, the lightning rod situation, which you don't see all that often, like Kyle Pitts is the leader in the clubhouse because usually it's Drake London, and then the other team does have some legitimate wide receivers, but we just don't know how much options they're going to get or how many targets they're going to have. So if we just take a look first, Tom, the Tampa Bay side of things, Mike Evans, 39.5. The low point, I think, is 38.5 here. I'm looking at BetMGM. Igbuka, 50.5 at this point here. Chris Godwin, 41.5. Bucky Irvin, 20.5. Then Jalen McMillan sitting there at 8.5. Then a couple of those back-end tight ends there. But the question is going to be, which most people are asking all day, Tom, what are the thoughts on Mike Evans? Now, we do understand he's on a snap count, but that can be deceiving because the snap count usually comes from, Tom, like, hey, hamstring injury coming back, ankle injury, calf injury. He didn't have that. It's a collarbone. So it's just a matter of him taking shots and how comfortable he's going to be. And also, understand this. Snap counts on wide receivers can be a little bit elusive because if you know it's a running down situation, Mike Evans isn't going to be out there. He's not catching a pass on that play anyway. I think Mike Evans is intriguing. I didn't take his prop here on receiving, Tom, but how do you feel about Mike Evans in this game tonight?
I feel that when he's out there, they're going to try to get him the ball. And then maybe be oversimplifying it. But to your point, it's if he's out there for, I don't want to say 50 snaps because that's even ridiculous, but 20 snaps, they're not going to throw the ball to him 2 times. They're not going to throw the ball to him 20 times, but have the routes for him set up because ultimately this is the starting point. They have a very important, couple games coming up because they have to play the Panthers twice, though. That's for the division, essentially. Yep. So you need him at his best. So it's if he's out there for 20 snaps, he has to be running routes on all 20, and you have to be throwing the ball to him at least 8 times. So I would play the over because I'm betting on the talent that I believe Mike Evans is, and especially the connection that he's had with Baker. But also, again, that team importance that they need him active. Emeka Buka has fallen off significantly. Chris Godwin has been up and down. There's no Cade Otton tonight for the Bucs. This is the time to get Mike Evans going.
I'm interested to see, too, how it plays off because sometimes you look at, let's just say on Sunday, Tom, right? You always love the Rams passing game, but the reason why it works is Devontae is on one side, Puka's on the other. You can't roll coverage to both. So sometimes you'll get and say, well, let's just say Devontae has the hamstring injury. He's not going to play this weekend. Yeah, we still like Puka, but it's kind of funny. I actually like wide receivers when it's the full slate out there because if it's going to be Evans, you're force feeding him to, well, then, hey, Igbuka was that guy who now doesn't get that number 1 coverage. It slides over to Mike Evans, and maybe he can secure. How do you look at some of these secondary options? Because I'm out on Chris Godwin because it's either there or not there. It's too inconclusive for me this year. But Igbuka has been the one guy that is their lead dog, but some people say, oh, you know what? Evans is coming back tonight. I do think it's smart to play Evans over because there's no doubt Evans isn't there to be a decoy tonight. And Baker's going to throw him the football. And we'll get to the touchdown props in a moment. But how do you feel about Igbuka tonight with that 50.5 number?
I'm hesitant on it. I think if the number was, I don't know, in the mid-40s, I would have much more interest. And I know that doesn't sound like a huge difference, but because Evans is back and McMillan is back, I just feel like they want to get those guys going. And because Cade Otton's there, it's just okay, we can get Evans the ball. Chris Godwin was solid. We'll still run it. I'm not sold on Igbuka. If you get an in-game opportunity on him at 39, I love that. Because at a certain point, if they are up by multiple scores and let's say at halftime, Donnie, or in the third quarter, Mike Evans has 60 yards and a touchdown and they're up by 2 scores, they may ease off of him at that point and be like, hey, we just need to run routes still with Ibuka, and he just catches an extra pass. So he may start off slow and finish strong.
Makes sense here. How do you feel about the Atlanta side of things, Tom? Because again, Kyle Pitts, it's one of those guys in the past, like he just disappears from the offense because he has other options. There is no really other option, it feels like, other than Kyle Pitts. Let's start with him first at 54.5. I didn't take his total, but if you are looking at game script, right, you're going to get a lot of blitzes coming from Todd Bowles. Tight end's usually your best friend. I do expect Tampa to win, which means you're going to be throwing in the fourth quarter with Kirk Cousins. I didn't bet the 54.5, but how do you feel about that 54.5?
So I bet under 55.5, and that is solely, I'm being very clear about this because he's on my most important dynasty team. I'm in the playoffs for the first time in half a decade. So I am only betting on the under because I'm worried about him not showing up. I will say objectively, he's the guy to throw to. He is the target leader on the team now with Drake London out. So Mooney, I don't feel is a consistent enough option. Bijan Robinson coming in the backfield is absolutely awesome. I'm solely betting the under on him just because I'm worried about him not producing, and I want to guard against that. If I were to make a bet on Kyle Pitts, it would have to be the over, because if he does not have over 50 yards, they lose this game by 10 points.
Yeah, like it feels like so many correlations where it's like, Pitts has to perform in the passing game and Bijan has to perform there, where it's like, all right, the Bucs can get away with Bucky having 32 yards. Maybe Tucker had 50 yards.
Very true.
Maybe Rachaad White had 50 yards. You don't have to worry about it. But it feels like if Pitts doesn't get yards, nobody's getting yards out there, which may mean like Bijan was really eating on the ground. But if we do look at the other options, you got Darnell Mooney, 37.5, Bijan Robinson, then Sills, which is like, I love secondary options, but there's nothing worse than taking Sills and like, dude hasn't got a target in the first half. And he's going to get a slip screen and gets like 6 yards. Like, well, now I need 14 more at this point. I'm out on Sills. But Bijan at 39.5, like I like Bijan rushing and receiving tonight combined. Mooney I kind of don't like. But again, it comes from me also, Tom. I don't like Atlanta per se tonight, even outside of just Bijan Robinson. That's the only thing I'm targeting for Atlanta.
Right. I would say it's not just about Sills over 19.5. It's like we're also dealing with Kirk Cousins. We're also dealing with a very clear downgrade in quarterback, a quarterback that they're not throwing at a super high rate. He's not throwing the ball super far downfield. Like outside of that one long touchdown to Darnell Mooney a couple of weeks ago, like they're not throwing the ball deep. So I would trust Bijan, and that might be it. Like I said, I think Kyle Pitts is a fine option, but I would trust Bijan in the receiving game and basically no one else. I can't get to Mooney, absolutely not on David Sills, and I can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. By the way, a little bit of an update here, Tom. Take a look at DraftKings has now moved right here, as you can see me circling, -6 in the marketplace. So Tampa Bay gaining some steam here before the start of the game. We'll check in on that in just a little bit, but let's get back to looking at some of these props as we go, Tom. Rushing props tonight. Bijan 74.5. Again, if Bijan runs for 38 yards, I don't know, Tyler Allgeier's running for 60. I don't know. Bucky Irvin 57.5. Let's start with the runners here for Atlanta, and then we can always go down to Kirk Cousins, a half of a yard plus 126. Let's start with Allgeier and Robinson, 74.5 and 26.5. Don't love it here, but again, the game, unless Tampa gets up 14-0, I think the game script all along is like, okay, let's protect Kirk Cousins, see what we have, and understand this again. They're not making the playoffs. So do we run Bijan into the ground with 30 carries down the stretch here, Tom?
This is almost exactly why I was trying to find Tyler Allgeier rush attempt props. A, because it's a short week, and B, because of that, it's like they want to play well, like just because every team wants to play well, but you also want to protect the best team asset that you have, which is Bijan Robinson, right? So I was looking for Tyler Allgeier props. This feels like the game that he's going to have 10 carries, which isn't a lot by any measure, but he's going to have 10 carries for, 40, 50 yards. Like they like him around the goal line. They like him to get touchdowns ahead of Bijan. So I would actually prefer Allgeier's number in the rushing game and Bijan's in the receiving game.
Yeah, it's like, what are you asking for Allgeier? Like, if he gets 6 carries tonight,
he should be able to get that.
No, you live with it then. If he gets 21 yards on 6 carries, you live with it at that point. But that's one that you look at. Let's look at it from a Tampa Bay perspective tonight. Bucky Irving, 57.5. Mayfield, 18.5. Rachaad White, 18.5. Bucky looks like he's come back now as the clear number 1 back. You almost like, hey, Rachaad White can get in there. The carries are coming from Bucky's side. And if I think they win, Bucky should be able to get the 57.5. If we look at his rushing props attempt, Tom, 14.5. Correlation. Like if he gets 15 carries, he's probably getting 57.5 yards. I think Bucky can get into the 50s. Didn't bet it though, because I'm going for passing props more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will say Sean Tucker is a far more interesting option compared to Rachaad White. I just don't think Rachaad White's that good. So it'd be Bucky for me. And if you can find Sean Tucker props out there, which are very tough to find. I haven't seen any posted on FanDuel DK. I looked at Fanatics yesterday or very early this morning. There's basically nothing, but I do think Sean Tucker is a far better option than Rachaad White.
Take a look at the rushing and receiving props. Bijan Robinson. Again, I think it makes some sense. Like, Bijan can have 140 yards combined. They can still get smoked in this game, but they're not going to even come close to that spread unless he gets that number. Any thoughts here on, like, longest rush market, too? Because you're always looking at Bijan, that home run guy, 15.5. Bucky's fleet of feet, 14.5. I'll tell you right now, it's interesting. Like, if I go to, and let me just check here. Let me just go to Tampa Bay quickly because I want to see Baker Mayfield. It feels like, Tom, like you watch the Red Zone a lot on Sundays. Like, okay, 3rd and 8 for the Buccaneers. It feels like every game you're getting at least like a 10-yard carry from Baker Mayfield.
He's always running.
Yeah, let me go to the statistics here. So I'm going to go Mayfield. I'm just going to look at his rushing statistics over the past couple games. All right, here we go, Tom. 12-7 against New Orleans, 16-yard longest rush. Arizona, 21-yard longest rush. The Rams, he had 9, but before that, Tom, Buffalo Bills, that was 13. Like, the dude always has, like, a first down run on, like, 3rd and 8.
So do you prefer his longest rush or his total rushing?
I see, that's where I don't want to get killed because, again, like, we're handicappers. Like, it's really correlated. He probably needs to have a 12-yard run to get 18, but we've seen him scramble 5 or 6 times in a game and say, hey, you know what, I can get 25 yards. To me, I hate to get burned on like, oh, he just ran for 11 yards. Because then you know he's also getting the 18 at that point. I'd rather take the yardage than the longest run, but I still think he gets that longest run as well.
I would say the 18. No, we say the 18, the 10. Because I'm also thinking, like, do we need to protect against the kneels? Which is obviously, like, only a couple yards, but it does make a difference.
Yeah. Because his last 4 games, Tom, 39, 19, 27, and 42. Like, and also late in the season, right? Just needed to win a game. Like, I think he runs a little bit more. So what is it? You know what? What is his let me see what is his carries number tonight? Did I have that?
I don't think he has. Does he have a carries? No, he doesn't have rushing.
No, he doesn't have a rushing attempt yet. Usually like, the running quarterbacks doing it, but I think he gets it though. I think it's a cheap number. Like, I do think he gets it here. So I would go 18.5 as opposed to his longest rush. I think he gets it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I would go longest rush before. I almost would go longest rush before the.
It feels like it has to either way, but there is a chance that you're right. He runs for 13 yards. He runs for 5 yards. He runs for 3 yards. You take a kneel at the half for -1. And at the end of the game, you take 2 knees for -3 yards combined.
I'd almost rather take the longest. And if he doesn't hit it, then he just wasn't under pressure and they're probably covering.
I'll tell you what hurts, too, in those longest rushes, right? He's got 10.5, like he gets 10. It's like, you got to be kidding me, man, in that booth. We've all been there before. We just need that guy to click that button one higher, and it doesn't happen. Touchdown props tonight. This should be pretty good here. We got some good plus money numbers, Tom. Bijan's all the way down to a -110, which I find interesting. Bucky Irving, +120. I like it, Tom, but you know where I'm going tonight, man. Look at the 180 staring you in the face right there. One of those guys is getting one tonight. I love it.
Yeah, I'm on Chris Godwin for the TD jackpot.
Yeah.
He has yet to score.
Gotti, okay.
Yeah, he has yet to score this season. So I love that number. And, the thing I'll say about Mike Evans or Emeka Egbuka is that if Mike Evans scores, like, that number is going to be long gone in the coming weeks, especially if he puts up a huge performance. Like the 39.5 that we're seeing from him are going to be in the 50s or 60s to close out the season. I honestly don't think there's a wrong way to go about it. You pick 2 of Egbuka, Evans, Godwin, and you roll with it. And you just live with the results. I personally wouldn't play all 3. Donnie, I don't know about you. I would pick 2, and you just live with the results.
It's hard to play 3.
It really is.
Because it's all that adage, like, okay, you can get 1 out of 3, and you'll lose a little bit of money. 2 out of 3, you're like, damn, man, that's, you know what I mean? It's really hard to do that because then all of a sudden it starts to happen to you, Tom. You're like, okay, I like Godwin, Evans, and Egbuka. Godwin catches 2. And it's like, come on now. You could have had big money doing it that way. You didn't even cash any tickets at that point. So it does happen. How about the ground game? Because I do think we're getting set up a little bit here, Tom. Bijan at -110. Like, so I guess you could do this. If you're saying Atlanta is not going to get shut out, Tom, I go Bijan and I go Pitts. And then Algier ends up like vulturing it.
Right. I mean, that's where my thought would go is that Algier is almost where he is like utilized more.
So if I ask you this question, Tom, would it be like if you're doubling up, and I usually like to do it plus money, but can you go wrong with Bijan and Algier and just cheer on Algier, I guess? Because if you get Bijan, you don't lose anything.
That's true. So Bijan and Algier. Like a part of me would want to just take Bijan and the 5.5 with the Falcons rather than the 2.
Yeah.
Because if he does score, they should have it close.
Set up on Bijan at -110.
I don't like it. I'm pretty sure I saw it at -125 earlier today.
Yeah.
I just don't like that number. If they were at home, maybe. But the fact that they're underdogs, and this is a good run defense from the Bucs, we have to remember that. It's like this is a very good run defense. So I'm just not a fan of the -110.
If we're going way down that list, like Tez Johnson,
it would be Tez Johnson or Sterling Shepard, just because again Mike Evans is on a pitch count, and we also have to account for K. Dotton also being out today. So Payne Durham is going to be seeing some amount of action as TE1, whether or not he sees a ton of pass routes and targets is a different story, but he should be lining up as tight end 1.
I mean, look at Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was 27-1 when I was doing the morning show. He's 33-1 now. Now, granted, it's funny. Like, I'm going to ask you this question. Like, what would you rather take in this game? Like a Kirk Cousins 33-1 or take him just to get 1 yard rushing? Like, you can actually hit the double banger, the quarterback sneak on the goal line, 1 yard and a touchdown at that point. But, like, it's a half of a yard. And we don't anticipate, like, you always have to play it this way. The team that's favored, you do have to worry about that quarterback taking a knee or 2 at the end of the game, or maybe even 3, worst case scenario at that point. Right. When I look at Kirk Cousins, he can't get 1. Like, what has Kirk Cousins actually been doing in the running game here?
Nothing. He's got cement boots on his feet.
Does he have any yards? Because let me just go to the stats here for Atlanta, because that's what I'm interested in. Because again, I'm not betting it, but I just find it fascinating. Where it's like the dude needs a half of a yard for a plus money payday.
Let's see. Kirk Cousins,
game rushing. Yeah, exactly. Look at this.
5-2-2.
No yards the last 2 games. No yards, but 5-2-2. Like, they're ticket cashers, Tom.
They are.
Run back. Give me over him on that. The best part, Tom, is he runs for 2 yards and then takes a couple knees and you lose that. A half yard? Come on.
Honestly, if you were banking on Kirk Cousins getting a touchdown and cashing the over half, you should just be playing the Falcons on the money line.
Exactly.
Like, if you really think he's going to be in line to score. Now, of course, he just – they sneak even at the goal line. They'll never sneak him through because they have 2 viable backs and they don't have another quarterback to go to.
Exactly. Unless they're on the inch-yard line and it's 4th down, they don't want to hand off. He's still probably not even going to get that chance to quarterback sneak. All right, so let's go over what we had tonight, Tom. For me, I do think Tampa Bay wins. I think the 5.5 is doable at this point. And as we pointed out, some of these late lines creeping in, 5.5s have turned into 6 at DraftKings. See if anybody else is at a 6. Westgate out in Las Vegas is at a 6 too. The total is still sitting at 43.5. Don't love that a lot, but it's nice weather tonight. I think Mayfield has a good game tonight. He's not going to throw for 300 yards, but I do think he winds up somewhere in that 230 range tonight. All I need tonight, Tom, is I don't need a running mate. I just need competency. Sometimes you get like Seattle took on Brosmer. It's like, we just can take a knee the whole second half. Just give me a competent performance out of Atlanta tonight. I think Baker Mayfield has a decent night tonight. And the touchdown props, as I said, 180 and 180. Take an Igbuka, and I'll take Mike Evans, each with a 180. Give me one, bang, cash your ticket. How about you?
Right. I'm going Chris Godwin for T Jackpot. I think going to Godwin and Evans is both fine. I forgot to mention this before, but I specifically like Kirk Cousins under 31.5 pass attempts.
Yeah.
It's -120, -116, wherever it might be. The Falcons have seen their pass play percentage drop to 50% in the last 3 games since Cousins took over.
Yeah.
And the way I phrase this game is that the Bucs could win this game high scoring. The Bucs could win this game low scoring. The Falcons could win this game low scoring. The Falcons cannot win this game high scoring. Trusting Kirk Cousins to drop back 35 times is not the route that the Falcons want to go. Yeah. So they want to win this game by Bijan, Algier, and a little bit of Kirk Cousins, considering there's no Drake London. The talent discrepancy is so heavily in the favor of the Bucs that this is a risk aversion. Like, the Falcons have nothing to play for, but averting risk would be Kirk Cousins not throwing the ball 35 times.
Yep. See what happens tonight, man. So we're just about on game time here. About 8:15 is that kickoff tonight, and we have some fun with this. Hopefully, again, Atlanta, just do your part tonight. Let's have some fun.
17 points from Atlanta, and I think we're in a good spot. The Bucs score like 24. You get 3 touchdowns from them. We cash some overs, and we'll be okay.
Yep. Good night tonight. We'll see if Mike Evans gets in the end zone. I'm sure we'll be leading the way for a Football Friday tomorrow. But that'll do it for the show tonight here. Donnie Rightside and Tom Vecchio. We'll see you early Sunday. And by the way, Tom, Sunday, cold weather conditions, dome conditions, but a full slate. No bye weeks, a ton of games to get to there. So we'll see you guys on Sunday. Enjoy.